Superhero Deep Dive. Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to a new year, new opportunities ahead of each and every one of us, and a new episode of Superhero Deep Dive. Yes, I am excited. I hope you are too. I have a great episode planned today with a rarely seen superhero, if you even want to call her that. But before I get into it, let me get into my normal disclaimers. The information is pulled from various sources across the internet and may or may not be completely complete, but they do give a really good insight on the current superhero. The reason I do that is because I am hoping that you will take this information, and if you're watching on a slideshow on YouTube that corresponds with the podcast, then maybe you get interested in this hero and you look him up for yourself, and then you grow with your appreciation for that hero, and you expand it, and it goes from there, and everything blossoms like a new flower in the new year. Yay! Okay, there's enough of that. As always, if it is a Tuesday or Thursday, you can hear me on the internet radio station Outworld Fleet Radio at www.un-con-conventional.com/radio. I have new episodes airing every Tuesday wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, so thank you very much. And every Tuesday at 8 a.m. I debut a new video on YouTube with the podcast recording, and then I do a slideshow of that hero. So please watch that, like, comment, subscribe, share. If you have any critiques, if you have any questions, if you have any ideas, inputs that you want to do, if you have any requests for future episodes, I am all about it. So comment, and as always, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitch, and Twitter, but I am never on Twitch because I have not figured it out yet. But you can catch me under Super Deep Dive and use the hashtag Superhero Deep Dive. I do post superhero memes throughout the week. And I did actually post a bunch of memes in a video on YouTube as well under Superhero Deep Dive. But I'm planning on doing more of that. It's just I did it right before the holidays, and then the holidays happened and all the rigmarole surrounding the holidays. So I haven't done more, but I do plan on it. But anyways, now that all that's said and done, all that's up in the air, I'm going to talk about Darkchylde. Darkchylde was this character created in the 90s, and she was like this blonde girl, and every cover was like almost like a photo shoot that they did, like just an artistic rendering, it was like they went to their Maxim magazines or Playboy, and they're like, what's a sexy pose? Let's do this for the magazine, and then they put monsters or something behind it, and they called it a day. It was really weird, but the story was interesting. So her real name is Darkchylde, and the kind of pitch for this, the tagline from the creator was, "What if the monsters from our many recurring nightmares were real? What if they wanted to escape your dreams and consume our world, hitchhiking out on your very flesh to do it?" So that was kind of the premise for the whole thing, that tagline. So Darkchylde is the story of a cursed teen who can become the creatures from her many nightmares, and then must save her small town from the forces of darkness she set free. A woman unknowingly slept with one of the banished nightmare realm beings who posed as a man. That union conceived a child, and that child was slowly killing the mother. Using black magic and rituals, the man prolonged her life long enough for her to bear the child. The child was actually a doorway between our Earth and the nightmare realm from which the man was from. The child was known as Darkchylde. Now, Darkchylde lost her mother at the age of 4, and she grew up by having nightmares every night. Recently, she switched schools again, and this time it was Salem High. It was by her father's orders. She can't wait till she turns 18 next year and gets away from him. Back from the first day in the new school, she sits in her room thinking. She hears her stepfather come home. He walks into her room and attacks her. Ariel fights him, and then something happens. She transforms into a thing of her nightmares and burns her father alive. The house goes up in flames and she escapes. Perry, a boy she met at school and had made a move on her, finds her at an old dam. I wonder if it was a goddamn. I don't know. Okay. Anyways, he takes her to his house so that she can clean herself up and rest. Then he calls his father, who works in special cases. Just as the father arrives, so does the monster Ariel first changed into. And now they are separated. Ariel changes again to save the boy and the father. After chasing the monster away, she again reverts back to human and loses consciousness. She awakens in an ambulance on its way to Sentry Compound, and that's a facility that researches supernatural occurrences. Sentry people probe her and make her turn into a next monster, saying that it will help. In the facility, she is visited by Sage and her companions, who then break her out. The boy Perry and his father join them. They manage to escape Sentry soldiers, but then they meet Cauldron. Cauldron attacks Ariel and goads her into changing again. She grants his wish by transforming into Fang, a dragon who promised to help her, but only wanted to get out of Nightmare Realm. She seemingly kills Cauldron and then goes on a rampage. She kills Perry's father before she manages to transform back to herself. Perry tells her to leave town, and he will say that she died when Sentry people arrive. Ariel leaves on the graduation night, and she doesn't get far from the town when she sees a traveling carnival. Of course, because that's what happens. There's still traveling carnivals back in the late 90s. Just so you know, in case you didn't realize it, because I didn't realize it, growing up in civilization and everything. But yes, I had to sip my coffee. Okay. She feels happy for a day, but only for a day. But her nightmares still follow her. A nightmareling, which is, I'm assuming, a creature from the Nightmare Realm, tears off one of her arms. She's losing a lot of blood and has no option but to turn into a beast. In a fight with the nightmare she trashed some of the carnival attractions. Because carnival attractions aren't trashed enough as they are. And I'm sorry, if you are working in a carnival and you are hearing this and being offended, I'm sorry. It's not meant to offend. It's a joke, it's comedy. But come on. These carnival attractions, these carnival rides, are not tip-top shape. I've never seen one in tip-top shape. If you have, let me know in the comments. I don't know. Maybe I'm being insensitive and I'm sorry. But, let's see here. She's losing a lot of blood, has no option but to turn into a beast. She tries some of the carnival attractions. War and Peace find her also and give her a helping hand. Peace assures her that if she turns back to human, she will have a new hand. She is then surrounded by the carnival people who seem to know that weird things happen in the world. Some of them are even supernatural themselves. They ask her to join their group to pay for the damages, and she agrees, seeing as a ticket to disappear. Okay, War and Peace also join her. Traveling with the carnival, she learns more about herself. She is now able to turn partially, thus not giving the nightmare being permission to enter Earthrealm. The weird thing with the carnival is that small children always go missing in the towns they stop in. One night, Ariel decides to stay guard at one of the child's house that visited the carnival, and by chance it's the same house that is attacked by a monster. Of course it is. Of course it is. Because that's how we move the comic forward. Ariel uses her new half-transformation skills to kill it, and it turns out to be a young owner of the carnival. Before he dies, he reveals that Cauldron is her real father, and that he and her mother are to blame for her powers. Ariel puts the pieces together and realizes that the sage used to be her mother. She confronts her on her grave back in Salem and wants her to tell everything. Sage does as asked and tells her story and flies away when Ariel partially transforms. After that, Ariel meets with Perry again. Again, she feels happy for a change. Wow. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack with this history. This was definitely a product of the late 90s. Now, there's I can see the market like this has a really good start. But man, it seems to go off the rails. And then it seems like it's got a good start. They go off the rails a bit. Then they kind of bring it back in. And they're like, well, let's give her the power to, like, give her control so she can partially transform. And that way she's not going on a rampage. And they're like, oh, that's a great idea. Which it is. It is a great idea. But then they just go off again. And it just makes it seem like this was written to, I don't know. I feel like it could have been better. I don't feel like it's bad. I feel like the premise is great. I just feel like it could have been better. What do you guys think? Are you guys on the same page as I am? Because I wanted to be impressed with this. And the artwork is amazing. If you look at the slideshow on YouTube, the artwork is amazing. But man, it just seems like this was just good intentions, just not planned out. Like, it was thought out and just not planned out. Alright, so her powers. Darkchylde has claws, flame breath, flight. She's a shapeshifter. Stamina, stealth, and unarmed combat skills. Because they're nightmare creatures. So that's really it. With her, I do like the fact that they changed up the monsters when she transformed. I didn't know that at first, and that was really cool. Because then, it's almost like you don't know what you're going to get. But now, we're going to talk about my favorite part. This is the power expansions. This is when I look at it and I decide, like, do we need to make a movie? Would this be a good TV show? Do we need to revamp the comic? We did just a comic storyline before. We did animated series. We've covered it all. So when I look at Darkchylde, I immediately think of a horror-themed movie. And they did try to make a movie. It just never went anywhere. But here's the thing. Movies have evolved since this comic came out. Like, movies nowadays aren't usually as campy as they were in the 90s and early 2000s. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking of the original Hellboy movie. And it was because it was done in a way that could introduce the nightmare creatures and possible mythology behind the characters without being overly childish. Like, in the original Hellboy, they kind of like, they were like, yeah, this monster came out during World War II. This sucked. Now it's present day. This is just a part of our lives. It wasn't like, it just wasn't campy. It just almost made it seem like, this is just another day in the office kind of thing. And I liked that. Which is funny because I really didn't like Hellboy when it first came out. But the more I watched it, the more I like it. And now it's almost like a staple in my movie library. Alright, but like, what if the story of the mom getting seduced by a demon or nightmare character was brought on by a cult or something of that nature? Like, then you have the girl growing up and something happens, like maybe a date gone wrong, or like in the movie where, or in the comics where the stepfather came in and he got attacked. But that's when her powers manifest. Terror ensues after that, and she goes on the run, finds out that the cult basically bred her for this. And she's always on the hunt looking for connections to the cult that made her the monstrosity she is now. But let's not have it end with the resolution. Like, let's have the cult branch out into, different areas of the country or even the world. Because that way it leaves everything open-ended. Let's see here. Like, let's have it leave possibilities to have future movies based on the nightmare creatures she can turn into. And this also gives way for CGI to evolve and to grow, and they don't have to keep the same designs for monsters because she can be different monsters. But I said, let's also not have her turn into a single character or creature. Let's have her change on an inconsistent basis. That way there's always something new to learn, and it can add to the story and mythology of it all. Especially if she gets, the partial changes going. What if she wanted a claw hand, and just as a fun Easter egg or something, she gets Hellboy's right hand of doom, so this big giant stone hand. What if that happens? I mean, it would just be kind of fun. It'd also give you a chance to insert humor into it, but also, keep it evolving as a character. But I really didn't have too much into it. It's just because it's just not as strong of a story. But I did see where we could. So who do we cast? In the comics, Darkchylde was a tall, leggy blonde, which was a product of the times. I don't think that does her justice, per se. And that's not to say that she couldn't be. But in my story, I want to expand on the whole cult and mythological backstory. And I think the character could play well with any race or background. But for the story's sake, I wanted to go with someone that looked like they could have more of a European, Romanian heritage. Even the Spanish heritage, kind of gives way to that whole, and like I said, if you are Romanian, and if this offends anyone, it's not meant to. It's definitely not meant to. I'm just trying to, when I picture it in my mind, this is what comes up. But I'm thinking of the look of your classic gypsy, like Italian, Spanish almost, like an olive complexion skin, kind of narrower eyes, things like that. Because of that, I went for Camila Mendes from Riverdale. And granted, she's Latin American, but she does look like she could have that kind of gypsy-ish, stereotypical gypsy type background as well. So, I think that, and she's in Riverdale, which is kind of a darker show in general, so I don't think it'd be too much of a stretch. But I think she could do that, and she's cute, so it definitely plays on that appeal. But if they expand on this and just develop it, I think we can do so much. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube, or if you're listening on your favorite podcast network, there's many ways to contact me. I love getting messages and comments on YouTube because I respond to everything, even if it's just a like. If a conversation ends, I'll always like a comment, but I will acknowledge it. But I absolutely love it. Someone suggested I do a giveaway. I'm right at 1 year of podcasting on this show. I did a podcast before, but I'm right at 1 year on this, so maybe sometime in the spring. Who knows? But we'll figure that out. Right now, I don't have a lot of subscribers, so I would really love it and appreciate if you liked, comment, subscribed, and shared, and help my channel grow, because I think it would be absolutely wonderful. But what do you guys think? Let me know. Once again, you can catch me on Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram under Super Deep Dive, and use the hashtag superherodeepdive. My comments are always open. My DMs are always open. You can email me directly at b4itall, so b4itall at yahoo.com. I do get emails frequently, so thank you for that. And you can also catch me on YouTube under Superhero Deep Dive. Leave a comment, watch the videos, subscribe, share it, help me grow, and I will do giveaways. I wish I'd have thought of it before, because my year-end special was on Wizard Magazine. I could have packaged a couple of those up and shipped them out. I thought that would have been fun. But I will figure something out, and we can go from there. Oh, but anyways, guys. Alright, I think that's going to be it for me. You know where to find me. I hope I find you guys everywhere and anywhere and all that stuff in between. Everyone have a great new year. In the meantime, everyone be blessed, be happy, be safe, and be smart. And if you're not smart, don't get caught. I will see you next week. Bye-bye.